The mayor of Portland is making the headlines across the country today after he was tear gassed along with hundreds of other protesters. Take a look. These are the dramatic scenes of that tear gassing last night. Earlier in the night, Mayor Ted Wheeler was jeered and mocked by protesters as he listened to them and tried to answer their questions. A lot happened overnight. Fox 12's Marilyn Deutsch has this wrap-up of day 56 of Portland protests.
This is what it looks like in front of the Federal Courthouse Thursday morning. Federal agents have been in Portland for almost 3 weeks now. The mayor has railed against President Trump for sending the officers here. But this is the first time Mayor Wheeler was up close at a protest and saw the federal presence. No surprise, the crowd was hostile, yelling profanities, jeering and mocking Portland's first-term mayor. Mayor Wheeler is also the city's police commissioner, and many blame him for how Portland police have responded to the protests with tear gas and the use of force. And more broadly, they blame him for what they call a pattern of brutality on the part of police, especially towards unarmed citizens. In what he called a listening session, Mayor Wheeler was asked point blank if he would dismantle the Portland Police Bureau.
Will you commit to working towards abolishing the Portland Police Bureau? Yes or no?
No, I do not support it.
But the mayor also came to rail against President Trump, who sent federal officers into Portland because he said local authorities failed to quell the protests. The nightly protests have now grown in numbers and intensity, mainly because federal officers dressed in camouflage are accused of illegally detaining people, whisking them away in unmarked cars. One protester was also seriously hurt by rubber bullets, and a Navy veteran's wrist was broken when federal officers beat him with batons. Mayor Wheeler told last night's protesters he stands with them.
And if they launch the tear gas against you, they are launching the tear gas against me. We are a community. Here's what I think about the federal government being in our city. They were not asked to be here. They're not wanted here. They're not properly trained to be here. And we are asking them right this minute. We're demanding that they leave. We demand that the federal government stop occupying our city.
Mayor Wheeler talked and listened for more than an hour, then went to the barricade in front of the Federal Courthouse. A group hurled fireworks and other flammable objects over the barricade, eventually starting a large fire on the other side of the metal fence. Others shook the fence. Some even managed to breach the fortification. Federal officers used tear gas to disperse the crowd, and among those tear gas, the mayor of Portland. It was a dramatic sight, but critics called it a publicity stunt. Portland police declared the protest a riot at 12:30 this morning, but say they did not use tear gas or otherwise engage the crowd. This morning, workers cleaned up the projectiles tossed last night after day 56 of Portland protesting police brutality, systemic racism, and now what some are calling a federal occupation. Federal agents arrested 6 people overnight. 5 of them will be charged with failure to comply with a lawful order. If convicted, that carries with it a possible $5,000 fine and up to 30 days in jail. In downtown Portland, Marilyn Deutsch, Fox 12 Oregon.